Hi students, this is Ramurthy Karimpudi from Excellent PU College Mudibidri. Today we are going to discuss KSET 2021 physics solutions which is conducted on 29th August 2021. So if you consider this KSET paper, the KSET paper actually moderate with some of the questions are too lengthy here. So now we will discuss these questions one by one. In the first problem, according to Einstein's photoelectric equation, the graph that is showing the variation of kinetic energy of photoelectrons and the frequency of incident radiation. So we know that from photoelectric equation, energy of incident radiation is equal to 5 plus Ke max. So from this we can write Ke max is equal to E minus 5. So which is equal to Ke max is equal to, this is h nu minus 5. So if you compare this equation with a straight line equation, y is equal to, this is mx plus c. Why? Because this is in the form of y is equal to mx plus c. So this must be a straight line. So from the graphs, all the lines are straight lines only, but the y-intercept is equal to minus 5 here. So here y-intercept is not positive, negative here, this is positive. Here y-intercept is 0, here y-intercept is positive here, but for this only y-intercept will be negative. That's why option D is correct for this problem. Second one, energy of electron in the second orbit of hydrogen atom. For H atom, energy in the nth orbit is given by minus 13.6 by n square into z square. This is the energy in any orbit for any element which is having only one electron. That is the limitation of Bohr's model. Now for H atom, this is the energy in the second orbit is given by minus 13.6 by 2 square into 1 square. So E2 is given by minus 13.6 by 4. So here minus 13.6 can be written as 4E2. So let me take the equation 1. They are asking us to find out energy of electron in the third orbit of helium. In the third orbit of helium, we can write for helium Z is equal to 2, N is equal to T. So electron in the third orbit will have minus 13.6 by that N square will be 3 square and Z square will be 2 square. Minus 30.6 can be written as 4E2. This is 4E2 by 9 into 4. So answer 16E2 by 9. So the correct answer is option 2 here. In third diagram figure, the figure shows standing de Broglie wavelengths due to the revolution of the electron in a certain orbit of hydrogen atom. So here Z is equal to 1 as it is for hydrogen. Then the expression for the orbit radius is given by radius of the nth orbit of hydrogen atom is given by epsilon naught n square h square by pi m z square. Here if you observe this diagram, this is one wavelength lambda, here 2 lambda, 3 lambda, 4 lambda, 5 lambda, and finally this is 6 lambda. So the circumference is given by, circumference of this circular path is given by n lambda, where n is equal to 6 here, 6 lambda. So circumference is given to 6 lambda. So from this we can say n is equal to 6. Now just substitute here, radius of the sixth orbit R6 is given by epsilon naught 6 square h square by pi m e square z is equal to 1. So radius of the sixth orbit is given by 36 epsilon naught n square h square by pi m e square. So this is the answer. But you can say this is 1 into h square epsilon naught, 4 into 9 into 36. So there is no option in this one. So this is a question with the bonus marks. Electron in an excited state of lithium plus has an angular velocity of L is equal to, that is mvr is equal to 3h by 2 pi. But we know that from Bohr's postulates, MVR is equal to NH by 2 pi. So number of the orbit is 3 here. Now the de Broglie wavelength of the electron is given as P pi epsilon naught. So lambda is given by P pi A naught, where A naught is the Bohr's radius, that is the radius of the first orbit of hydrogen atom. So we know that A naught is equal to epsilon naught h square by pi m E square. This is the Bohr's radius. Now I want to find out the de Broglie wavelength here. So first de Broglie wavelength is given by lambda is equal to h by mv. Multiply with r and r, you will get hr by mvr. But we know that mvr is equal to 3h by 2 pi. So this is 3h by 2 pi, hh get cancelled. So lambda is equal to 2 pi r by 3. So this is given by 2 pi by 3 into, what is r? R is nothing but r is equal to epsilon naught n square h square by pi m z square. So from this r can also be written as r naught into n square by z for any element. So here also in place of r I am going to write r naught, or this is also called a naught in this problem. So this is a naught into n square by z. So this can be written as 2 pi by 3. This is a naught into n for this lithium, that is, as we know that n is equal to 3 here. So I can write 3 square by lithium atomic number z is equal to 3. So this is 3 cancel. This will be 2 pi a naught. This is given by P pi a naught is equal to 2 pi a naught. So P is equal to 2. Option 2 is correct. Which graph in the following diagram correctly represents the potential energy of a pair of nucleons as a function of their separation? So here we know that this is the distance where the potential energy is negative, and if the distance increases, potential energy will become more negative or less negative here, and even if the potential decreases, this separation decreases, this will also become positive also. So when the potential energy is negative, they attract with each other, positive, they repulse with each other. So here in this case you can see this is the graph that is given in our NCERT textbook directly. So we can say that the energy must be in mega electron volts and the distance between the nucleons will be in Fermis. So the correct answer for this one is option D. Number 6. In a nuclear reactor, heavy nucleus is not used as moderators. Generally, the moderators that are used are heavy water but not heavy nucleus. Or graphite also can be used as a moderator here. But for all these, the nuclei has less mass. Why they are not using these heavy nuclei? Why? Because the options are they will break up, the net weight of the reactor would be unbearably high, substances with heavy nuclei do not occur in liquid or gaseous state. These are all wrong. The correct answer is the elastic collision of protons with heavy nuclei will not slow down, because the purpose of moderator is to slow down the neutrons, but heavy nuclei will not slow down these neutrons. Next one, the input, let us say this is AB, as it is a AND gate, this will become AB, A into B, and the output will be AB bar. But as it is another NAND gate, but here as it is a NAND gate here, this is another NAND gate, this is also NAND gate. So two NAND gates connected together. So the output for this one will be AB bar whole bar, which is equal to AB. That is, if you give A and B, the total output will be A into B or A dot B. So dot means this is a AND gate. Eighth one, identify the incorrect statement. First one, when a PN junction diode is in forward bias, the width of the depletion layer always decreases. Due to this, resistance also decreases. So this is the correct answer here. Second one, when a PN junction is reverse bias, then the barrier potential between the two sides of the junction will increase. So this is also correct only. Third one, a photodiode operates in the reverse bias. We know that photodiode always acts in the reverse bias. Last one, they are asking us to find out the incorrect statement here. In an LED, lightly doped PN junction diode which emits spontaneous radiation on forward biasing. Remember students, LED is always is a diode which is heavily doped. So that's why this is the incorrect statement in this one. One, three diodes D1, D2, D3, that is D1, D2, D3, having energies 2.5 electron volts, 2 electron volts and 3 electron volts. One will be able to detect the light of wavelength 600 nanometers. We know that energy is equal to Hc by lambda. Lambda is equal to Hc by E, that is 12,400 by this energy. As we are finding this energy here, the wavelength to be measured here is lambda, which I am going to write 600 nanometer or 6000 angstrom, because whenever you are writing this 12,400, the wavelength should be in angstroms. So this is 6000. So from this you can write 12.4 by 6, 2 zeros, 66. So this will be 2.07 electron volts. This is the energy. You can see the energy of the first diode, energy of the third diode is greater than this. If energy is more, they can detect wavelengths less than 600. So to detect this one, only D2 is required. So the correct answer is only D2 can detect those wavelength of 600 nanometers. Next one, for a body moving along a straight line, the following VT graph is obtained. According to the graph, the displacement is dash. Here, if you observe this diagram, in the first part, we know that area under VT graph gives the displacement. From the diagram, it is clear that the area in the first part is small, area in the second part is more. Here, this area is a small area, this area is big area. So this is x1, this is x2. So from this, as the area in the first part is less, we can write area in the first part less than area in the second part. That is, displacement in the first part is less than displacement in the second part. In the first part, the velocity is gradually increasing, that is accelerated motion. But in the second part, velocity is constant, so uniform motion. So displacement in the acceleration less than displacement during this uniform motion. So here, if you observe these four options, uniform acceleration is greater than this during uniform motion, wrong. Uniform acceleration is less than the during the uniform motion. So the displacement during uniform acceleration is less than the displacement during uniform motion. Option 2 is correct. 7th part problem. A particle starts from rest. Its acceleration versus time is given in this diagram. The maximum speed of the particle will be dash. We know that area under AT graph will give the change in velocity. So delta V is equal to product of area and the acceleration and time. So this is the area under AT graph. So this delta V can be written as final velocity minus initial velocity is equal to area under that graph is nothing but area of the triangle, half into base into height. So V minus initial velocity is 0 because starting from rest. This is going to be half into base is equal to 10 seconds, height is equal to 8 meter per second. So V is equal to 40 meter per second. So the correct answer is number 2. Similarly, in the 12th problem, the maximum range of a gun horizontal plane is, range of this one is given by R max is equal to 16 kilometers or 16,000 meters and small g is equal to 10 meter per second square. What is the muzzle velocity of the gun? The maximum range of the particle is given by u square sine 2 theta by g. As theta is 45, sine 2 theta will be 90. So for maximum range, theta will be 45, sine 2 theta will be 90. Now from this, we can write u square is equal to R max into g, or u is equal to root over R max into g, which is given by root over R max is equal to 16,000 into 10. So this is 16 into 10 power 4. So this is 4 into 10 square, 400 meter per second. So option 3 is correct. The trajectory of a projectile. In NCR textbook it is given that the path of a projectile is parabola, very very important question. Here when we are deriving that equation for this path of a projectile, the projectile is a particle which is moving only under the influence of gravity. No other force are acting. That means if air resistance is neglected, means even the resistance due to air is also a force is neglected, then only it is a parabola. So the correct answer for this one is trajectory of a projectile is parabola only in the absence of this air resistance. Next one, for a projectile motion, angle between velocity and acceleration is minimum at. Here for the same diagram we can see this is also for 14. Here when it is thrown upwards, the acceleration due to gravity is acting downwards. If the angle of projection is theta, then the angle between acceleration and velocity is 90 plus theta. This is 90 and theta. As the particle goes up, here the velocity is completely horizontal because at maximum height vertical velocity is 0. So this is velocity, this is acceleration, and here angle between these two is 90. But while coming down, at all the particles, this angle is acute angle only, less than 90. But here when it is striking the ground, so this is the direction of velocity, this is the direction of acceleration. As we know that if it is theta, this is theta, 90 minus theta, this is also 90 minus theta, this is theta. So this angle will be 90 minus theta. This is the angle between velocity and acceleration when it is striking the ground, and this is acute because it is less than 90. And this is the only minimum value. Here also this value will be less than 90 only, but the minimum value will be at a striking point. So this appears only at a striking point only, only at one point. A particle starts from origin with a velocity 10j. So initial velocity is equal to 10j, that is along y-axis, and moves in xy plane with the constant acceleration of, the acceleration is given by 8i cap plus 2j cap. At what instant? At an instant, x coordinate is 16. So when the particle is moving like this, it is experiencing two different accelerations due to this particle move like this. So at a particular time, x is equal to 16. At the same time, what is y coordinate? So for this first, let me take along x-axis. The initial velocity along x-axis is 0 because particle projected along y-axis with a velocity 10j. So there is no component along x-axis, initial velocity 0. Acceleration along x-axis you can see this is 8i, and the displacement along x-axis is 16. So we can write x is equal to ut plus half at square. 16 is equal 0 plus half into this acceleration 8 into t square. So this is 4. 16 is equal to 4t square, 4 fours. T is equal to 2 seconds. So after 2 seconds, the particle will be at a distance of 16 centimeters. Now, what is the y coordinate for the same time? The y coordinate is given by y is equal to ut plus half at square. Y is equal to initial velocity along y-axis is already given it as 10, and the time taken 2 plus half into acceleration along y-axis is 2 into 2 square. This 2 to get cancelled. Y is equal to 20 plus 4. So this is 24 meters. So the correct answer here is option 4. Similarly, in the 16th problem, a coin placed on a rotating table just slips if it is placed at a distance of 4 centimeters. So this is a rotating table. A coin is placed at a 4 centimeter distance and it is slipping away from this one. If it is not slipping, condition is the internal force must be equal to the centripetal force. The internal force is frictional force. So F is equal to centripetal force mv square by r or mr omega square. The internal force is mu n, which is equal to mr omega square. So we can write mu into mg is equal mr omega square. Mm get cancelled. So mu g is equal to r omega square. So this is the force that is acting inwards, which is equal to the centripetal force. Now, for this coin to stay there, the frictional force must be equal to the outward force or centripetal force. Now, from this we can write, as this condition will not change, r1 omega 1 square is equal to r2 omega 2 square, as this value is constant. Coefficient of friction between the coin and table and small g actually remains constant. So, the r1 omega 1 square is equal to r2 omega square. In the first case, distance from this center here is 4, this is omega square. R2 is we need to find out when this is doubled. So, final angular velocity is 2 omega. So, from this 4 omega square is equal R2 into 4 omega square. Omega square get cancelled, 4 get cancelled, R2 is equal to 1 centimeter. So, and the angular velocity is doubled, the coin will slip from this one at 1 centimeter only. 17, a 1 kg ball moving at, this is a 1 kg ball, mass m1, moving with the velocity of 12 meter per second, collides with a 2 kg ball moving in opposite direction. So, this is a 2 kg ball moving in the opposite direction with a velocity of 24 meter per second. So, this is m2 and u2. If the coefficient of restitution in this case E is equal to 2 by 3, then their velocities after the collision. So, for this velocity in inelastic collision is going by 1 plus E into m2 u2 plus m1 minus E m2 u1 by m1 plus m2. So, by substituting this one 1 plus 2 by 3, m2 u2 is equal to 24 into 2. So, this is 48, but here this velocity is opposite to the initial velocity. If you consider this velocity as positive and this velocity should be considered as negative here. So, I will get this minus 48 plus m1 is equal to 1 kg, E2 by 3, m2 is equal to 2 kg into u1 is equal to 12 by m1 plus m2, 1 plus 2, this is 3. So, now this is 3 plus 2, 5 by 3 into minus 48 plus this is a 1 minus 4 by 3 into 12 by 3. So, 3 1s are 3 16. So, this is minus 80 plus 3 1s are 3 minus 1 by 3 into 12 by 3. So, 3 4s. So, this will become minus 80 plus 4 minus 84 by 3. So, 3 2s are 6, 24 3 8s. So, this answer is minus 28 meter per second. And once you get V1, no need to find V2 here. Why? Because here first velocity V1 is minus 4, here plus 4, that is plus 28. So, no need to find V2. The correct answer is minus 28 and minus 24. Suppose if you want to find out V2 by using the same expression 1 by E, m1 u1 plus m2 minus E m1 u2 by m1 plus m2. By substituting all these values, so definitely you will get this answer as minus 4 here. Next one, problem number 18. A ball hits the floor and rebounds. This is a ball hits the floor and rebounds after an inelastic collision. Inelastic collision means the kinetic energy will not be conserved. Now, here in this case, which of the following is correct? The momentum of the ball is conserved. In any collision, the momentum of the system will be conserved. That means, momentum of the entire system before collision is equal to momentum of the entire collision after the collision. So, momentum of the system will be conserved, but the momentum of one single ball or single body never conserved. So, momentum of the ball is not conserved. The mechanical energy of the ball is conserved. Here, some part of the energy converts in the form of heat energy or sound energy here. So, it is not there. Then, the total momentum of the ball and the earth is conserved, because here ball is the first body and the earth will be taken as second body. So, m1 u1 plus m2 u2 is equal to m1 v1 plus m2 u2. So, m1 u1 plus m2 is the total momentum before collision of the system. This is the total momentum of the system after collision. So, total momentum is conserved. In the figure, EV graph, here it is given like this. This is the energy, this is the square of velocity, the graph is given like this. So, this value is 3 joules and this value is 4 meter square second power minus 2. From this, mass of the body that is undergoing pure rolling is 1 kg. What is that body? Whether it is a sphere, ring, disc or hollow cylinder. So, for rolling motion, kinetic energy, total kinetic energy is kinetic energy due to rotation, kinetic energy due to translation. This is given by half I omega square, half m v square. This is total energy. So, from the graph, the total energy is E, that is E is equal to this much. So, this can be written as it is given in terms of v square. So, let me convert this into v square, half moment of inertia m k square into omega is v square by r square plus half m v square. So, from this half m v omega square common, k square by r square plus 1, which is equal to 3 here, and at 3 v square value is 4. So, 3 is equal half into mass of the body 1 kg given, v square is equal to 4, this will become k square by r square plus 1. So, 2 1s and 2 2s, when this bring here 3 by 2, this plus 1 and comes this side minus 1 is equal to k square by r square. So, this is 3 by 2 minus 1, 1 by 2. So, r is equal to, or k is equal to r by root 2. So, for sphere 2 by 5 mr square is equal to mk square. So, k square is equal to 2r square by 5, but k square is equal to here r square by 2. So, from this we can say for ring mr square is equal to mk square. So, k square is equal to r square. Third one, for disc mr square by 2 is equal to mk square. So, k square is equal to r square by 2. So, correct answer is disc here. Now, in problem number 20, two bodies of masses 8 kg are placed at A, B, C. A, B, C is an equal triangle. At A and B, 8 kg are placed. And a third body of mass 2 kg is placed at centroid. So, at G, 2 kg mass is placed here. So, from this, if AB, BG, CG is 1 meter, so this is 1 meter, this is 1 meter, this is 1 meter. Where should a fourth body of mass 4 kg should be placed such that the resultant force on 2 kg should be 0. So, for this to become 0, net force 0, force between these two plus force between these two plus force between this and some 4 kg mass somewhere it is kept here. Let us say the distance is r, we are finding this r only. Sum of these three forces must be equal to 0. So, here I can write force between these two, FGA is given by capital G, m1 m2 by r square, that is 8 into 2 by 1 square. Force between G and B, capital G, m into 2, that is 2 m1 m2 by this is also r square. So, this is 16G, this is also 16G. So, as these two are attracted by this one, this is FGA, this is FGB, the resultant of these two will become FG. So, the angle between these two medians will be 120. So, FG is given by root over FGA square, FGB square, 2 FGB cos 120. So, if you substitute this value, 16G square plus 16G square plus 2 into 16G into 16G into minus 1 by 2. So, by cancelling this and this and this, you will get to 16G only. So, this is the force that is acting here, because two equal vectors acting at 120, resultant is always equal to one of these vectors. Now, what is the force between these two? So, F between G and that point, let me take P, which is given by capital G. Masses of these two, 2 into 4 by the distance r square. This must be equal to 16G, because for the entire force on this one should become 0, resultant of these two must be equal to the distance force between these two. So, now cancel G and G here. This is 8 by r square is equal to 16, 8 1s and 8 2, r square is equal to 1 by 2, r is equal to 1 by root 2 meters. So, this 4 k should be placed 1 by root 2 meters, that means somewhere here, so that the total force on this will become 0. Capillary tubes P and Q dipped in vertically in water. So this is capillary tube P, this is capillary tube Q. In this one, the height of the water level in capillary tube P is, this is the height of the water level in P is 2/3 height of water in Q. So if it is a height of liquid in Q, HQ, so HP will be like this. What is the ratio of their diameters? From the surface tension capillary tube experiment, capillarity, surface tension is going to be HRDG2 cos theta. So here D is the density, G is constant, cos theta is constant, so surface tension constant. So H1R1 is equal to H2R2, or H1 diameter D1 is equal to H2 D2, because radius is half of the diameter. Now what is HP here, HQ here? HP is 2/3 H dP is equal H into dq. H and H get cancelled. So dP by dq, diameter of capillary tube P by diameter of capillary tube Q is given by this 2/3 will come 3/2. So option 2 is correct. Next one, which of the following curves represents the variation of coefficient of volume expansion of ideal gas at constant pressure? At constant pressure, we know that ideal gas equation PV is equal to nRT. So here P into delta V is equal nR into delta T. Delta V by delta T is equal nR by P. This is equation 1. From this, we can also write this as PV is equal to nRT. We can write V is equal to nRT by P. If you multiply V on both sides, we can write delta V by V into delta T is equal nR by V into P. So I multiplied both the denominators with the volume. So here you can see nR by PV, nR by PV, nR by PV is equal to 1 by T. So this value delta V by V into delta T is equal to 1 by T. So change in volume by original volume for change in temperature, this we call it as a volume coefficient of expansion of gas, which is equal to 1 by T. So alpha V is equal to 1 by T here. As 1 by T value, this value increases, alpha V also increases. So option 2 is correct, because alpha V is equal to 1 by T. So if you take these two, which are directly proportional to each other, the corresponding graph will be a straight line here, option 2. 23. A number of Carnot engines are operated at identical coal reservoir. So efficiency of Carnot engine is given by 1 minus temperature of cold reservoir by temperature of hot reservoir, that is sink and source temperatures. TL represents lower temperature, TH represents high temperature. Now, however, their hot reservoirs are kept different. TH is kept different, but TL is constant for all the engines. A graph of efficiency of engines versus a hot reservoir is plotted against the correct graphical representation is dash. So here as TL is constant, so as this value increases, this ratio will decrease, because as the denominator increases, this value will decrease. So for example, if you take TL as 300, this is also 300, efficiency is 0. So when TL and TH are same, the efficiency will be 0. If this is neta 1, neta 2 1 minus 300 by 400, this is 3 by 4.75, this is 0.25. And the efficiency in third case, if it is 300 by 500, this is 3 by 5, 0.6, so this is 0.4. And for uniform increase in this one, this will become 0.5. So here increase is more and then less, and then it will become very, very less here when compared to 300 by 700. This is 1 minus 3 by 4, that is 4 by 7. So 7 4s, 7 5s 35, 5 7 7s. So as this gap is reducing, the corresponding graph, if you draw the graph between these two, initially it will increase, and then this increase will be very, very small. Efficiency increase will be very, very small here. So the corresponding correct answer is option 2. Now 24. A gas mixture consists of monoatomic and diatomic molecules of 2 moles each. What is the mixture? The mixture has a total internal energy. The total internal energy of a gas system is internal energy of first gas plus internal energy of second gas. So as it is a internal energy, we can write N1CV1T1 plus, this is the internal energy of the first gas, and this will be N2CV2T2. So this is 2 moles. For monoatomic gas, Cv is going by 3R by 2. 3R by 2 into temperature T. For diatomic gas, this is 5R by 2 into T. So 2 get cancelled. 3RT plus 5RT. The total internal energy of this mixture is 8RT. Option 3 is correct. A pendulum oscillates simple harmonic if and only if. If you take the pendulum, this is 25th question. Here the length of the pendulum is L, that is effective length of the pendulum. The size of the bob is negligible when compared to the length of the pendulum. So even if the size increases, if the size of the bob increases, this remains same. So that is not a point to observe. But here, if the angular displacement is more than 10 degrees, then the other forces will come into the picture and the motion will not be simple harmonic. So the angular amplitude should be less than 10 degrees. So only the second one is correct here. 26th one, to propagate this longitudinal transverse waves, the velocity of a longitudinal wave is given by root b by rho. For solids, Young's modulus by rho. For liquids and gases, bulk modulus by rho. So for sound to travel in a medium, the velocity is given by root b by rho, where b is the bulk modulus. Now, if you take the transverse wave, for transverse wave, the velocity of the transverse wave, it depends upon the shear modulus. So the first option is correct. A copper rod of length L, this is AB, is rotated about end A. So let us, it is rotated about end A with angular velocity omega. The electric field at distance x from the axis of the rotation. From this here at a distance x, what is the electric field here? The electron which is present in this rod will experience two different forces. One is electric force due to the applied electric field. So if the electric force is equal to centripetal force, electron will try to move towards the center. So what is the electric force? EQ or EE, which is equal to, what is the centripetal force at this point? So mv square by r, or m r omega square, but distance here is x, mx omega square. So the electric field is given by mx omega square by E. So mx omega square by E, or omega square x by E is the first option. Second one, similar problem, same concept, electric field due to a straight infinite current carrying conductor from Gauss law, if it is carrying some charge and a distance r, the equation for electric field is given by lambda by 2 pi epsilon naught r, E inversely proportional to r. So option 2 is correct. 29. A 2 gram object, mass is equal to 2 grams, is located at the region where the electric field E bar is given by 300 Newton per coulomb. It is carrying some charge which is not known to us, we are finding the charge only. The object released from rest, so initial velocity of object is 0 when it is at x is equal to 0, that is at origin. The kinetic energy of this one is equal to 0.12 joules when it reaches 0.5 meters. Then what is that Q? So here, if you draw the diagram, this is x is equal to 0, this is x is equal to 0.5. So electric field is also acting along this 300 I cap. So electric field is also acting in the direction of x-axis. So whenever a positive charge is released here, it moves in the direction of field, its velocity increases. Let us say initially it is given as 0 velocity, it is at rest. Here kinetic energy is equal to 0.12 joules. So we know that work done is equal to change in potential energy or change in kinetic energy. So this is equal to change in kinetic energy. Here work done is potential difference between these 2 points into the charge that is moving here, so which is given as Q here. So what is the potential difference here? We know that in a uniform electric field, E is equal to delta V by delta R. Delta V can be written as E into dr. So here in place of this we can write E into dr into Q is equal Ke final minus Ke initial. So what is the electric field? That is 300, and the distance between these 2 points is 0.5. The amount of charge that is moving here is Q, which is equal to Ke final is 0.12, Ke initial is 0. So from this, this is 300 into 1 by 2 Q is equal 0.12. So this is 150. So Q is equal to 12 into 10 power minus 2 by 150. So this is 12 by 15 into 10 power minus 3. So this 3 4s and 3 5s. So this is 4 by 5, 0.8 into 10 power minus 3 coulombs. But if you observe the answers are in microcoulombs, and only that 800 and minus 800 are there. So you can write this as 800 into 10 power minus 6 coulombs, 800 microcoulombs. So as the velocity and kinetic energy are increasing, so compulsory the charge must be a positive charge. So correct answer is 800 microcoulombs. Now in problem number 13, a slab of insulating material which is 4 into 10 minus 3 thick. So this is the 2 plates of a capacitor. Distance between these 2 is d. Capacitance is given by epsilon naught A by d, as air is the medium between these 2. But now what happened? One dielectric is placed between these 2. Whenever dielectric is placed, the capacity increases. But to maintain the capacitance, we know that the capacity decreases with increase in distance. Second plate is moved up to here. So it is moved by 3.5 10 to the power minus 3. So the actual position was this. This is 3 into 10 power minus 3 meters. As the capacitance of this one, C is equal to C dash is equal to epsilon naught A by d minus t plus t by k. This is the new capacitance. But according to the problem, the capacity is not changing, it is equal to the original value. So I can write initial capacity is equal to final capacity, that is epsilon naught A by d is equal to epsilon naught A by d minus t plus t by k. This you can write if only dielectric is placed here, but dielectric is placed and distance is increased. So this formula can also be written as d plus x is the new distance, where this is x, this is d, total distance d plus x. In that t you have to subtract by t plus k. So I can write this as d plus x minus t plus t by k. So now we can cancel these two. So denominator is d is equal d plus x minus t plus t by k. dt get cancelled. So this will become x is the distance that increased here, which is given by 3.5 into 10 power minus 3. Thickness of the dielectric that is placed here is 4 into 10 power minus 3 plus 4 into 10 power minus 3 by k. This is equal to 0 because d minus d will become 0. Now if you take this value, this is minus 0.5 into 10 power minus 3 is equal, when it goes that side, minus 4 into 10 power minus 3 by k. Minus minus get cancelled, minus get cancelled. So k is equal to 4 by 0.5 or 8. So the dielectric constant of this one is 8 here. 8 drops of mercury combine with equal ready combine to form a big drop. The capacitance of a bigger drop as compared to the smaller drop is, here volume of each drop is given by 4 by 3 pi r cube into 8. This is the total volume of these 8 drops, which is equal to 4 by 3 pi r cube. 4 by 3 pi, 4 by 3 cancel. This will become 2r whole cube is equal to r cube. So capital R is equal to 2r. So this is the radius of the bigger drop. We know that capacitance of a sphere is given by 4 pi epsilon naught r. This is the smaller sphere. So the for bigger sphere, this will come 4 pi epsilon naught capital R, which is equal to 4 pi epsilon naught. Capital R is equal to 2r. So C dash is equal 2 into 4 pi epsilon naught r. C dash is equal to 2 into C. So capacity increases by 2 times in this problem. Next one, which of the following statement is false? This is not true, this is false in case of a polar molecule. The first one, centers of positive and negative charges are separated in the absence of external electric field. Polar molecule is a molecule in which the center of the positive and negative charges are separated by some gap. So this is the correct one. Centers of positive and negative charges are separated in the presence of external electric field. If you keep it in the presence of an external electric field, then also these will remain same. This will come this side and this will come this side. Even then this will get a negative and positive charges here. So they are separated. So this is also correct point here. Third one, do not possess permanent dipole moments. Dipole moment is given by one of the charge into distance between the two charges. Here, whether the field is not applied, when the field is applied, in both cases, this will not change it. Dipole moment will not change. That means they have permanent dipole moments which are equal to the product of one of the charge and distance between these two charges. So here they are telling do not possess permanent dipole moments. Actually they possess dipole moment. That is the wrong answer here. Even if you take the fourth one, ionic molecule HCl is the example. Here if you take HCl, this you can write H plus Cl minus, separated by some distance. So this is also a dipole. An electrician requires a capacitance of 6 microfarad. Total effective capacitance is 6 microfarad in a circuit across a potential difference of 1.5 kilovolts, that is 1500 volts. A large number of 2 microfarad capacitors are which are withstand a potential difference not more than 500. So we have capacitance of 2 microfarad and having potential 500 volts are available for with the electrician. The minimum number of capacitors required for this purpose is, first of all, if you want this total capacitance 6 microfarads with this 2 microfarad capacitors, now first we have to connect them in series. If you connect them in series, this will be 2, 2, 2. The total capacitance will be 2 by 3. So this is not possible. But here you can remember, students, as the total voltage that can withstand is 1500 volts and the potential of each capacitance is 500. So let us say this is the 500 volts, this is 500 volts, this is 500 volts. The total voltage across each row will be 1500 here, which is equal to 1.5 kilovolts. So first we need to arrange 3 2 microfarad capacitors in series so that we will get this required voltage. Now I need a capacitance of 6 microfarad from this one. So for this I will draw 3 more here. Here also voltage 1500 volts. This is the first row. This is in row number 1. This is row number 2 and so on row number n. So if you add these, the capacitance in the first row is 2 by 3. Capacitance in the second row is 2 by 3 and so on. The total capacitance must be equal to 6 microfarad. So for this to achieve, as these are connected in parallel, Cp is equal to N into C, that is 6 microfarad is equal to N into, this is 2 by 3 in each row. So now 2 1s and 2 3s, N is equal to 9 here. So I need to arrange 9 rows here and in each row we have 3 capacitors. So total number of capacitors, total capacitors is equal to 9 rows and in each row 3 capacitors. The answer is 27 here. So option 4 is correct. Next. In this figure, charge on the capacitor is plotted against the potential difference across the capacitor. We know that in a capacitor, whenever charge increases, potential increases. So these two directly proportional to each other. Now the capacitance energy stored in the capacitor respectively. First of all, to find the capacitance, C is equal to Q by V, but they are asking us to find out the capacitance of this capacitor. So this capacitor charge is 120 microcoulomb by the voltage here is 10. So this will become 12 microfarads. This is the capacitance of the capacitor used in this problem. Now what is energy stored? Energy stored is going to be half CV square, half capacitance is 12 into 10 power minus 6, and the voltage here is 10 volts. So this is 10 square. 2 ones and 2 6. This is 6 into 10 power minus 6 into 10 square. 6 into 10 power minus 4, or you can also write as 6 into 100. 600 microjoules. This is the energy stored in this case. So the correct answer is 12 microfarad and 600 microjoules. Option 2 is correct. A wire of resistance 3 ohms is stretched to its original length. So resistance R is equal to rho L by A. Here only length is given, area is not mentioned. So just to multiply with the length and length, you will get rho L square by V. Whenever wire is stretched, resistivity will not change, volume of the wire will not change. R directly proportional to L square. So from this we can write R1 by R2 is equal L1 by L2 whole square. So initially resistance of this one is 3. The final resistance we are finding, initial length is L, it is stretched to double to its length. So from this it becomes 1 by 4, 3 4s are 12, R2 is equal to 12 ohms. So the correct answer is option 4. Now question number 36. Here in the given arrangement of experiment on meter bridge, AD corresponding to null deflection. So this is the null deflection, also called balance length of the galvanometer is X. What will be its value if the radius of the wire AB is doubled? We know that R1 by R2 is equal rho length between AD by, this is the resistance between AD by resistance between DB by A, where A is the cross sectional area. So here if the radius of the wire is doubled, here area get cancelled, rho get cancelled. So R1 by R2 only depends upon length of the wire but not on the radius or the area. So here also the balance remains as X only. 7. A copper wire of length 1 meter and a cross sectional area 5 into 10 power minus 7 meter square carries a current of 1 ampere. Assuming that there are 8 in 10 power 28 number of free electrons per unit volume, 8 into 10 power 8, then how long will the electron take to drift from one end of the wire to the other end? So for the electron to drift from one end to another end of 1 meter length, we know that velocity is equal to distance to be travelled by time, where distance is the length of the wire. So the time taken is going by length by Vd. So this is L by Vd, drift velocity is going by I by NEA. So now the time taken is going by L. If you write this one here, this will become NEA by I. We know that the length is 1 meter and current is 1 meter. So length and current get cancelled. Time taken is the product of NEA. So this time is equal to number of electrons are 8 into 10 power 28. Charge of electron 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. And area of this one is 5 into 10 power minus 7. So 1.65 are 8 again. So this is 8 into another 8 into 10 power 28 minus 19 minus 7. This is 64 into 10 power 28. This is 26. This is 10 square. So this can be written as 6.4 into 10 power 3 seconds. So the correct answer is option 4, 6.4 into 10 power 3 seconds. Next one, consider an electrical conductor connected across a potential difference of V. This is a conductor which is connected between points A and B with a potential difference of V volts between A and B. Let delta Q be a small charge moving in this one. So through this delta q charge is moving here, and the time for this charge to move from here to here is a small interval delta t. Then I is the electric current. Then we know that whenever this charge is moving, the drift velocity remains constant. It only changes if the area of torsion changes, but here it is connected across a potential difference of V, and here area of torsion is not mentioned, means drift velocity remains constant. When the drift velocity remains constant, the kinetic energy is also remains constant. So here the kinetic energy of charge will not change here, so this is wrong. Now due to this, whenever charge moves from high potential to low potential, the electric potential energy always decreases, but the kinetic energy will increase. So, but here as the kinetic energy is constant, the change in potential energy or decrease in potential energy can be seen in the form of increase in thermal energy. So, the potential energy decrease is nothing but work done on this charge. So, delta U, or you can write minus delta U, because potential energy is decreasing, which is equal to delta V into Q. Delta V is V, I is equal to Q by T, Q is equal to I into dt. So this is the decrease in potential energy, and this is also increase in thermal energy. So option 2 and 3 are correct. So option 4 is correct here. A strong magnetic field applied on a stationary electron. When the electron is at rest, we know that any charged particle which is at rest will not experience any magnetic force. Why? Because magnetic force is given by BeV. Here velocity is 0, so the magnetic force is 0. It remains at rest only. Next one, two parallel wires, question number 40, separated by 10 centimeter distance, carries a current of 10 amperes in same direction. This is 10, this is 10. Then the force experienced by one of the wire due to the other one for unit length. So we have this force per unit length is given by mu naught I1 I2 by 2 pi r. So this is 4 pi into 10 power minus 7. The product of the current is 10 into 10 by 2 pi into r is the distance between these two, 10 centimeter. So 2 pi 1s and 2 pi 2s. This will be 2 into 10 power minus 5 by 10 power minus 1, 2 into 10 power minus 4. As they are carrying same current in same direction, so the fields will be opposite. So it will be attractive force between these two. So the correct answer here is 2 into 10 power minus 4 Newton per meter attractive. So first option is correct. 41. A toroid of thick winding of n turns having inner and outer radius r1 and r2. So if it is the toroid here, the inner radius is r1, the outer radius is r2, and number of turns in this one is capital N. It carries a current of I. In this current I is flowing through this one. The variation of magnetic field due to this toroid with the radial distance is correctly given by. We know that magnetic field at the center of the toroid is given by mu naught Ni only, just like a solenoid, but this can be mu naught into, these are the number of turns per unit length. Total number of turns are n. Total current I by this is 2 pi r. But as we have two different radii, we will take the average radius here, mu naught Ni by 2 pi into, this will become r1 plus r2 by 2. So this B will be mu naught Ni by pi into r1 plus r2. So this value is constant. This is the average magnetic field. So from the diagram it is clear that this is mu naught Ni by pi r1 plus r2. So this option 4 is correct here. 42. A tightly wound long solenoid. This is a long solenoid with the number of turns per unit length is n, and the radius of this solenoid here, this is equal to small r, and it is carrying some current I also here. A particle having a charge q and mass m is projected from a point on the axis. So this is the axis. So here a charge q and mass m or projected from this point in a direction perpendicular to the axis. So when it is thrown like this, projected like this, it is thrown perpendicular to this axis. Now, the maximum speed of this particle for which the particle does not strike the solenoid. So when it is thrown here, we know that the magnetic field will act along the axis here. This is the direction of magnetic field on the axis of the solenoid. This is the direction of the charge here. So if the forefinger indicates the field, if it is the charge, now this charge particle will move, enter into this one. So in this case, what happens? This charge particle either enters into this one. If charge is entering into this one, then if it is the field charge entering this one, the particle will move downwards. It will experience a force like this. So condition is, while moving, it should not touch the solenoid. So for this to happen, it should move in a circular path like this only, whose radius is almost equal to the, whose diameter is almost equal to the radius of the circular path. So what is the forces acting on this one? This is equal to the magnetic force experienced by the charged particle must be equal to the centripetal force as it moves in a circular path here. So here we can write the magnetic force is given by BQV sin theta, where theta is 90. Why? Because this is the field, this is the motion of the charge, which are perpendicular to the board, the angle between these two 90. So BQV sin 90 is equal mv square by r here. But what is the radius of the circular path described with the charged particle? This is exactly equal to half of the radius of this one. So if the radius of this one is r, this radius, let me take it as a r, this is equal to mv square by r by 2. So from this, the velocity of the charged particle is given by mv square by r by 2 into bq. So the velocity is given by mv square by bqr into 2. So this velocity and velocity will get cancelled here. So from this we can write the velocity v is given by bqr by 2m. But what is the magnetic field on the axis of a solenoid? This is v is equal to mu naught ni into qr by 2m. This is the maximum velocity. If the velocity is greater than this, radius described will be more than the radius of this solenoid, it will strike the solenoid. So from this, our formula is mu naught ni qr by 2m. Mu naught ni qr by 2m is the correct answer. This is for question number 42. Now, if you come to question number 43, earth magnetic field always has a horizontal component except at. So if you take the earth magnetic field at any point, we can resolve this into two components. If it is the dip angle, this is a horizontal component, this is the vertical component. So if you take our earth, if you take our equator, at equator, this needle always shows north and south directions of earth. So this is parallel to the surface of earth. This theta will be 0. When theta is 0, BH is equal to B cos 0, which is equal to B only. So at the equator, earth magnetic field will have B is equal to BH, but BV will be 0. But if you come to north pole or south poles, here if you suspend a bar magnet, the north pole of the magnetic needle will show the north pole of the earth. So it makes an angle 90 with the surface of earth. Then here BH will be B cos 90, which is equal to 0. So at magnetic poles, either at north pole or south pole, at the poles, the earth magnetic field will not have any horizontal component here. 44. Which of the following field pattern gives below is valid for both electrical as well as magnetic field? So these are the electric field lines due to a positive charge. These are open loops. Magnetic lines cannot be open loops. Here also these are open loops. For negative charge, electric field lines due to a negative charge, they cannot be magnetic field. But the last one is magnetic field lines only for a bar magnet. But this is the correct answer here. For a spinning charge, electric field lines or magnetic field lines are concentric circles. The current flowing through an inductor coil of 6 millihenry. So L is equal to 6 millihenry and different intensity is given. The EMF between 20 and 40 seconds is EMF induced in inductor is going by minus L di by dt, which is going by minus L I2 minus I1 by T2 minus T1. So minus 6 into 10 power minus 3. The final current in this case is, this is between 4 and 5. So let me take it as 4.5, and the final current is, this is 3.5. Initial current is 4.5 between those two time intervals 20 and 40. By the time taken is 40 seconds minus 20 seconds. So this is minus 6 into 10 power minus 3. Actually this is the final current 3.5. This is the initial current 4.5. So you will get a minus 1 by 20 here. Minus of minus will plus 6 by 20 into 10 power minus 3, or 6 by 2 into 10 power minus 4. So answer 3 into 10 power minus 4 volts. This is the induced EMF. But if you see these four options, there is no option. So you will get a bonus for this question number 45. Now 46. The physical quantity which is measured in the unit of Weber per ampere. So this is 46. Weber per ampere, nothing but magnetic flux per current. So from this same concept we know that the total flux linked with a coil N phi is equal to Li, or total flux linked with the second coil is equal to the mutual distance between two coils into I. In both cases, if you take, this is the Weber per area, so L is equal to M is equal to N phi by I. So this is the total flux which is measured in Weber, total current I is in amperes. So from this we can say this and this both are measured in Weber per ampere, where L is the self inductance and M is the mutual inductance. So the correct answer is both self and mutual inductance, option 4. 7. What will be the reading of voltmeter and ammeter of the circuit? You can see here in this problem number 47, XL is equal to XC, that is inductive reactance is equal to capacitive reactance, which is equal to 4 ohms here. When these two are equal, we can say, as these three are connected in series here, all are in series, we can say voltage across inductor is equal to voltage across capacitor. If these two are satisfied, we can say that the given circuit is in resonance. At a resonance, the voltage across inductor is equal to voltage across capacitor. So VL minus VC will be 0. Now, as these two are given here, the voltage across these two, which are opposite to each other, so the correct voltage across this combination is measured by this voltmeter, which is equal to 0. Now what is the reading of ammeter? That is I is equal to V by only R. At a resonance, circuit acts as a pure resistor circuit. So the voltage that is applied is 90 volts and resistance is 45 ohms. So this is 2 amperes. So the correct answer is the voltmeter reading is 0, the ammeter reading is 2 amperes. Now 48. LC oscillations are similar to mechanical oscillations of a block attached to a spring. The electrical equivalent of the force constant of the spring is dash. First let me take the mechanical system consists of block and spring. In the block and spring, let us say this is the block and if it is the spring here. Now when these two are connected here, when the spring is stretched and released, it will move the block. So the total energy of this system is energy of the block, energy gained by the block, and energy given by the spring here. So this energy is given by energy of block. If the mass of this one is m and moving with velocity v, this is half m v square, this is half k x square. But for this, the total energy is always conserved. So you can write du by dt is always 0. So now differentiating this one, you will get this as half into m into v square is 2v, and derivative of v with respect to time is dv by dt plus half into k into x square derivative is 2x dx by dt must be equal to 0. 2 get cancelled, 2 get cancelled. M derivative of this one, m dv by dt is a, or you can write v into a here, plus kx into dx by dt is also v. So this must be equal to 0 here. So from this equation, if you take v common, this will become ma plus kx is equal to 0, m into d square x by dt square, because second derivative of displacement is acceleration, plus kx is equal to 0. So this is nothing but force, F is equal to ma. So we can write F plus kx is equal to 0, or simply we can write F is equal to minus kx. Now if you take this capacitor inductive circuit LC oscillator, in LC oscillator the total energy is going to be energy in inductor plus energy in capacitor, which is going to be half Li square, and this will be Q square by 2C. So from this you can write half, as it is the total energy, du by dt. If you write half into L is a constant, I square will come written as 2I, this will become di by dt, plus this 1 by 2c is constant, q square derivative is 2q dq by dt, this must be equal to 0, because total energy is always conserved 0. Now 2 get cancelled, this is Li di by dt plus q by c dq by dt is equal to 0 here. So if you compare this with this, we can also write here as dq by dt is I, bring this I constant, this L di by dt plus q by c is 0. So from this we can write L into derivative of current, but current I is equal to dq by dt. So this will become d square q by dt square plus 1 by c into q is equal to 0. So from this we can write this equation is similar to this equation. So now if we compare these two, the mass in the mechanical system is comparable or similar to analog of this inductor, and here displacement is changing, here charge in the circuit is changing, here k is the force constant, here 1 by c is the corresponding analog here, and x and q already we discussed this. Here displacement changes, displacement block will change, here charge in the LC circuit will change. So from this we can say k is similar to 1 by c. So the force equivalent is equal to reciprocal of the capacitance, option 3. In an LC circuit, the self-inductance is 3 millihenry, 3 into 10 power minus 3 Henry. Capacitance is 2.7 microfarad, 2.7 into 10 power minus 6 farad. When t is equal to 0, the charge on the capacitor is 0. When the charge on capacitor is 0, the entire energy will be stored in inductor. Then the current is 2 amperes. The maximum current that is passing through the circuit when the charge is 0 is 2 amperes. Then maximum charge that will appear on the capacitor. So when this charge will be becoming maximum, when this current becomes 0. In any LC oscillator we know that the total energy in the inductor is equal to the total energy stored in the capacitor. So from this I need to find out charge. So q square is equal LC I square, q is equal to root LCI. So the root over L is 3 into 10 power minus 3, C is 2.7 into 10 power minus 6, and the current which is not under root, so bring this outside, which is equal to 2 amperes. So 3 into 2.7 is 8.1 into 10 power minus 9 into 2. So this can also be written as 81 into, if you multiply it and divide with 10, it will become 10 power minus 10 into 2. So this is a 9, root 81 is 9 into 10 power minus 5 into 2. So answer is 18 into 10 power minus 5. So the correct answer is option 2, 18 into 10 power minus 5 coulombs. Next one, suppose the electrical 50th problem. Suppose the electric field amplitude of the wave is E naught is given by 120 Newton per coulomb and the frequency of this one is given by 50 megahertz, that is the 10 power 6 hertz. This is the frequency of that electromagnetic radiation. Then which of the following values is incorrectly computed? So we need to check all the 4 here. So first one, magnetic field. We know that B naught C is equal to E naught because BQV is equal to E get cancelled. So B naught is given by E naught by C here. This is 120 by 3. So as it is 120 nanocoulombs and C is 3 into 10 power 8 here. So this is 40 times. The B naught value 40 into 10 power minus 8 or 400 into 10 power minus 9. So this is 400 nano Tesla. This is the magnetic field in this case. So the first one is correct here, 400 nano Tesla. Second one, angular frequency of electromagnetic waves is, to find out the angular frequency, so let me take omega is equal to 2 pi f, that is 2 pi into frequency in this case is 50 into 10 power 6, 2 into 50 100, so this is 5 into 10 power 8. So there also it is given as pi into 10 power 8 radian per second, which is correct here. Now third one, the propagation constant k. So we know that v is equal to velocity is given by omega by k. So from this k is equal to omega by v, but here it is moving as it is electromagnetic wave. This value will be omega, just now we found this as pi into 10 power 8 by, this is the speed of this one, light 3 in 10 power 8, these two get cancelled, answer pi by 8. But it is given that it is around 2.1, but pi is equal to 3.14 by 8, this is less than 1. So this is the incorrectly computed value, and even if you take that wavelength of the electromagnetic wave in this case, the wavelength is given by C is equal to mu lambda, lambda is equal to C by mu, that is 3 into 10 power 8 by, and this is the frequency, and the frequency is given by 5 into 10 power 7. So this is 3 by 5 into 10, that is 5 ones and 5 twos, 6 meters. So even the fourth one is correct. That's why the correctly computed value is a propagation constant, also called angular wave number. The source of electromagnetic waves can be, remember, a charge at rest produces only electric field around it. Charge in uniform motion produce a magnetic field around the charge, but the charge or accelerated charge will produce electromagnetic wave. So the correct answer is source of electromagnetic wave is charge should not be at rest, it should not move constant velocity, and it should not move parallel to the magnetic field. It should be moving in circular path. When it is moving in a circular path, every time the velocity is changing, its direction is changing, so it is an axial charge. It produces electromagnetic wave. Now, if you take the 52nd problem, interfraction light waves are bent passing from one medium to another medium, because so when the light travels from one medium to another medium, at the interface light bends. This is as it is coming from a single source, frequency remains constant here. So first one is wrong. The speed here is more if it is rarer medium and less if it is denser medium. Due to the change in speed, the light is bending at the interface. So the correct answer is speed is different. Refractive index of air to glass, NGA is equal to 3 by 2. Difference of water to glass, this is equal to 4 by 3. Now, the ratio of the focal length of glass lens in water and in air. So, focal length of lens in water to the focal length of lens in air. According to lens maker's formula, we can write that 1 by f is equal to Ng by n medium minus 1 into 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. So, in this case, I am not going to use this one because these two will get cancelled. So, 1 by focal length in air is n glass minus n air minus 1. Even if I write 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2 here. Now, this focal length in water, Ng by n water minus 1, 1 by R1 minus 1 by R2. These two get cancelled. So, I need the ratio between these two, n glass 3 by 2. For air it is 1. So, I am writing 3 by 2 minus 1 by. This is 3 by 2 by, for water 4 by 3 minus 1. So, this is 3 by 2 minus 1 is half. This is 3 by 2 by 4 by 3 become 3 by 4, that is 9 by 8 minus 1. So, this is 1 by 2 by 1 by 8, that is 8 by 2, 4 is to 1. So, the correct answer here is 4 is to 1. Now, 54th one, similar problem. This is also on lenses only. Here, when two lenses are kept in contact with each other, having focal length f1 and f2, the power is given by 1 by f1 plus 1 by f2. If you take LCM f1, f2, this is f2 plus f1. In the second case, when the first lens is kept in contact with a concave lens of focal length f3, now the power is given by 1 by f1 minus 1 by f3. Why? Because for concave lens, focal length is negative here. So, the answer is f1, f3, this will become f3 minus f1. But in the third time, the first lens is kept in contact with the second lens is f2 is contact with f3 here. In that case, power is given by 1 by f2 minus 1 by f3. So, this is f2, f3. This is f3 minus f1. So, the correct answer in this case is option 4. So, we need to check all these options there. So, correct one is option 4. Size of the image of object which is at infinity. So, object at infinity and a convex lens is producing image here whose size is height of the image here is given by 2 centimeters. When the object is at infinity, focal length of this lens is 30 centimeters. So, image distance will be equal to 30 centimeters only. Why? Because for convex lens, we can write 1 by f is equal to 1 by v minus 1 by u. So, 1 by convex lens focal length as it is positive, we can write 1 by v minus 1 by infinity, which is equal to 0. So, image distance for this one is 30 centimeters. So, image will be formed at 30 centimeters whose height is 2 centimeters. Now, a concave lens of focal length 20 centimeters is placed between the convex lens and image at a distance of 26 centimeters from the lens. So, here a convex lens is placed and this distance is 26 centimeters. The image formed by the convex lens will act as a virtual object for this one. So, here when we are measuring this distance, this is the direction of the incident light ray. So, this distance for concave lens will be plus 4 because this is 30, this is 26. This will be 4 centimeters. Now, for concave lens, we can write 1 by f is 1 by v minus 1 by u. 1 by minus 20 is 1 by v minus u is plus 4 here. So, bring this one this side, you will get 1 by 4 minus 1 by 20 is 1 by v. If you take LCM, 4 5s, 21s. This is 4 by 24 ones and 4 5s. So, the image distance in this case is 5 centimeters. So, image will be formed at 5 centimeters. Now, we will take for this concave lens, magnification is given by image distance by object distance, which is equal to height of image by height of object. Now, substitute these values. object distance, image distance are known to us. So this is 5 by object distance for the concave lens is 4. This is height of image by height of object is 2 centimeters. So 2 ones and 2 twos. If you cancel, you will get height of image as 2.5 centimeters. So the correct answer is option 2. Now, next one, if you take this a slit width of A is illuminated by a red light. This is problem number 56. If the diffraction minimum falls at 30 degrees, then the value of A. So here the path difference is given by, in case of diffraction is given by A sin theta is equal to n lambda. If the first diffraction minima, that is n is equal to 1 is formed at 30 degrees, so A into sin 30 degrees is equal 1 into lambda. A into 1 by 2 is equal, lambda is 6500 angstroms here. So you can multiply these two, 65 2s are 130, 00 into 10 power minus 10 or 1.6 into 10 power minus 6. So width of the slit in this case is 1.3 micrometers or 1.3 microns. So option 2 is correct. And which of the following statements are correct with reference to the single slit diffraction pattern? In a single slit diffraction pattern, we have seen this. If you draw this diffraction distribution, intense distribution curve for diffraction, the central maximum will have maximum intensity followed by less intensity for the other bright fringes. That means all the fringes will not have equal intensity. Here, which of the following are correct here? Fringes of unequal width, it is clear. This is having more width followed by small width only. So fringes of unequal width, fringes of are equal width. So this is wrong here. Second one is wrong. Light energy is conserved, whether it is interference or diffraction, the total energy is always conserved here. That's why energy is conserved. So this is also correct. So the correct answer is 1 and 3, because intensity of all fringes are not equal in diffraction. But in case of interference, all the bright fringes will have same intensity and all dark fringes will have 0 intensity if the amplitude of the current sources are same. So that's why this fourth one is wrong. So the correct answer is 1 and 3. So that is option 1. 58. In Young's double slit experiment, the intensity at any point on the screen is given by 4 I naught cos square phi by 2, where I naught is the intensity from one of the slit. Here, if you take this double slit experiment, the distance between these two is given as d. Distance between slit and screen, this distance is given as this. And here in the diagram itself, it is given that this is the point which is a distance of x here. So from this one, the intensity of light at the screen at point P at distance x from O, this is the center O, is given by, where small d is much lesser than the capital D. So that is a condition for interference. So from this we can write 4 I naught cos square. So what is the path difference for this point P? We know that the path difference is given by this by this, that is distance of that point from the center of the screen into distance between two slits by distance between slit and screen. This is the path difference. And the phase difference is given by 2 pi by lambda into delta x. That is 2 pi by lambda into x d by capital D. This is the phase difference. Pi by 2 will be 2 pi x d by capital D lambda by 2 to get cancelled. This is pi x d by capital D lambda. Now substitute this value in place of 5 by 2, we can write pi x d by capital D lambda. This is the intensity at that point P due to the any current source that is striking here. So the correct answer in this case is 4 I naught cos square pi d x by d pi. So option 2 is correct. And the work function of material is 1 electron volt. Phi is equal to 1 electron volt. Light of wavelength 3000 angstroms 3000 angstroms, which is going to be 3 into 10 power minus 7 meters. Incident on this metal surface. The velocity of the emitted photoelectrons is dash. Here E is equal to 5 plus Ke. Energy is going by Hc by lambda is equal to 5 plus Ke. Hc by lambda is going in angstroms. You can write 12,400 by lambda 3000 is equal 1 electron volt plus Ke. Here, if you divide this 12,400 by wavelength in angstrom, you will get energy in electron volt only. So this get cancelled. This is 12.4 by 3 is equal 1 plus Ke. So 3 4s are 12, 3 1s are 3, then 1 is there, 3 3. So this will become 4.13 is equal 1 plus Ke max. So this kinetic energy is equal 4.133 minus 1. So Ke max is equal to 3.133 electron volts. This is equal to half mv square. This is 3.13 into 1.6 into 10 power 19 joules. So now substitute this half into mass of the electron 9.1 10 minus 31 into v square is equal. This is nearly 16 3s are 4.8, 4.8. This is nearly equal to 4.5 into 10 power minus 9. Now this is also 4.5 something. These two get cancelled. So v square will be 10 power minus 19 plus 31. V square is equal to 10 power 12. V is equal to root 10 power 12, which is equal to 1 into 10 power 6 meter per second. So the correct answer for this one is 1 in 10 power 6 meter per second. Now the last problem in this one, 60th problem. A proton moving with a momentum of P1 has a kinetic energy 1 by 8 of its rest mass energy. So for a photon, energy and momentum are related as momentum is P1 and energy, kinetic energy is equal to 1 by 8 of its rest mass energy. The rest mass is m0 c square. This. So momentum is given by, we know that P is equal to root over 2m Ke. So from this P1 for photon is given by root over 2 m0, kinetic energy 1 by 8 m0 c square. This will become P1 is equal to 1s and 2 4s. This is m0 square c square by 4 under root, which is equal to m0 c by 2. This is equation 1. Now here the second part of this problem is another light photon having energy equal to kinetic energy of the proton. Here energy equal to kinetic energy of the proton possesses a momentum of P2. So here for the second particle P2 is given by, we know that this is equal to E by C here. But what is the energy of this one? This is equal to kinetic energy of the photon here. So kinetic energy of the photon here is this kinetic energy, we can write 1 by 8 m0 c square is the kinetic energy of the photon by this C. This CC get cancelled. This is m0 c by 8. This is equation 2. Now they are asking us to find out P1 minus P2 by P1. P1 minus P2 by P1. That is m0 c by 2 minus m0 c by 8 by m0 c by 2. If you take m0 c common here, you can get this as 1 by 2 minus 1 by 8 by 1 by 2. LCM 8 to 4 minus 1 by 1 by 2 4. So this is 3 by 4. So option 4 is correct here. So this is the solutions for KSET 2021. So this is the expected key here. There may be small changes in the key after this official key is released. I hope you like this video. Thank you, students.